he rises 3 spots on the Casey Keenum countdown. The Casey Kasem, excuse me.
Yeah, Casey Keenum normally is in your top 40. I don't know why he's not.
Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? It's Chris Sims. It's Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Ahmed Fareed is here. I mean, damn, that was not a bad Casey Kasem right there. I kind of was on a roll. I mean, I kind of liked it. I don't think it was that bad. I think I might dive into that every now and then. Pete's going to talk and tell me, no, it was bad, but I don't listen to Pete. And, you know, Pete's got, you know, a weird voice himself, so you need to shut up over there, okay? All right, so either way, and one day we're going to open up Pete's mic so everybody can understand that. But we are here, the quarterback countdown continues, okay? The number 1 spot on the music charts right now is Kendrick Lamar shitting on Drake. But the quarterback countdown, Sims has got a different take.
It's a good voice. I'm not sure that it's Casey
Keenum.
Casey,
I got you now.
I'm confused now. Casey Kasem was the voice of NBC. Pete has looked up here. I didn't know that. He was the voice of NBC as the chief primetime announcer in the 70s and 80s. He said this of his voice, quote, "It's a natural quality of huskiness in the mid-range of my voice that I call garbage. It's not a clear-toned announcer's voice. It's more like the voice of the guy next door." Now, with all due respect to Casey Kasem, no neighbor of mine has ever sounded like Casey Kasem.
I would agree with that. None that I recall in my history of neighborhoods either.
Hey there, neighbor. How you doing?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and then what? I am like chief primetime announcer in the 70s and 80s. Listen, I was a pretty good TV watcher and kind of aware of stuff like that because the life I grew up in. I don't remember him in the 80s on anything really other than like, you know, the Billboard Top 50 or whatever he was doing.
Agreed.
Right? And then, of course, I would hear it on the radio. Exactly right. So that is news to me, but either way, we know that's a classic voice right
We
there.
learn stuff all the time on this podcast.
That's what we're here for.
What we're going to learn is who are the top 10 quarterbacks, at least the first few.
Yeah.
For you, we are into the top 10.
Yes. You're going to learn 7 through 10. You're not going to learn 1 through 6. That ain't happening.
Are we doing the final 6 then on the last?
I think so.
And then we'll do, we got 6 next pod on Monday. So
I think I'm willing to say, and I'm going to throw it out there right now, of with where we're going to do today, I just couldn't put this group with the group in front of them. The top 6 to me are still in a little bit of a different class altogether right now. That's what I'll say, and people will be able to figure out who those are. And, you know, of course, we'll let you know the real order. But that's where there was a line of demarcation there.
So we'll have the countdown continuing. Yep. I will also do my all-time strong offensive team. I'm ranking dudes today in honor of the late Larry Allen. You guys talked about him.
I'm interested in what you're going to do here.
It took some digging. I'll be honest with you.
Strong is, you know, that's a big word. It's broad. It's very broad.
It is.
And quarterback is really... And you're doing like just all time,
all time strongest offensive 11.
I
went through the deep internet, the black web,
I'm
whatever
just telling you,
called.
the quarterbacks, I was pretty strong. I'm just letting you know.
Okay, quarterback was the most difficult because
I wasn't in too many weight rooms where the quarterback was stronger than me.
Okay.
You know, I'll say that. I just maybe in college a little. Big Phil, same thing there. Damn, you better not disrespect Big Phil. I'm just letting you know.
Maybe you'll show up on my top
Maybe we'll kick your
11.
ass on the next podcast.
We'll get to that. That's a tease for what's coming up later. So just to recap, the last tier we did of the Chris Sims quarterback Top 40 Countdown was the wild cards, which means that if you have one of these quarterbacks, you probably are at least a wild card team. They put you in that conversation, but they're also wild cards in that there are some things you're like, well, I don't exactly know what we're going to get.
They could play really good. I mean, it could be like, the top teams in their conference, or it could be like, damn, it wasn't as good as I want it to be. And, maybe they're in the wild card or just missed the playoffs because of that. Yeah. So that's where, it's a little bit of a, a teetering point, if that makes sense.
I think it's good to talk about that in relation to what we're about to talk about today with these quarterbacks, because these, of course, they all have things they could do better. Yeah. But these guys are aren't wild cards because they have proven to be able to play and win at a high level in this league already.
I think so. I think when we're going to get into this group right here and these 4 guys today, right? It's like, damn, it's a lot of damn good. Right? There's not a lot of negative to talk about. It's consistently good. And then off of that, is it perfect? Right? No, it's not perfect. Like, they all have one thing about their game where you'd go, they could be definitely better in this area. Like, there's a significant thing. And not to say the guys in the top 6 aren't going to have things they could get better too, but maybe just not quite as glaring as these ones, or, as big a deal as maybe the ones we're going to talk about today. But, as we've been saying, hey, I mean, you get to the top half of the league, you get to the top 20 in football right now, and I sit there and go, damn, they're all good. And I would be, welcoming any of them to be my quarterback for my football team.
Yeah, some of it is splitting hairs at this point. We're just trying to separate the best of the best from the best of the best of the best.
Right.
The 10th best quarterback in the NFL is the most pleasant surprise that I have come across in these rankings so far. Number 10 is the quarterback of my Detroit Lions, Jared Goff.
Yes, you had to take that. I can't take your quarterback and give the intro there, right? We got to give Jared Goff his props, man. Jared Goff, first off, has made one of the greatest turnarounds I've ever seen in NFL history. That's what I would say. It's rare where you go from system guy, I need to be massaged, I need to be helped, I need the scheme to help me, to, wait, I've fixed that issue and now I'm aggressive and throw the ball all over, and the offense is scary because I'm scary. I make big throws that change the game. I mean, that's you don't see that happen in football a lot. You really don't. And I give him a lot of credit for battling through a tough part of his career and making a big transition in his play. Right? And again, sometimes that's what pressure does, getting back to him in a corner and being like, oh no, if I don't change, I'm in trouble, right? I think Brady went through that in Tampa Bay. I do. I think about Brady, right? He at first, you remember Bruce Arians was kind of calling him out, and he was telling people behind the scenes a little like,
no risk it, no biscuit.
Exactly. Yeah. And he didn't like that. Brady became awesome in Tampa Bay because he became more aggressive than he was in New England. It's rare to see that kind of change from a quarterback. Usually you are who you are to a degree, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's where I want to give him credit. But when you really break him down, and I think of my headline of him altogether would be really a throwback to the old school. That's what Jared Goff is. He's an old school pocket passer. He is not looking to move. He is not looking for the check down, right? He QBs an offense that's maybe the most aggressive passing offense in the NFL. And he stands in there in the pocket, and he can pull the trigger with the best of them, right? And he's big, right? He has a strong arm. It's stronger than it gets credit for, right? And I think it's because, and you heard me say this before the pod, it's ugly. It's not pretty, right? And that's where, like, when I watch it, I got to take some of that stuff away. Like, yeah, it's one of the uglier motions in the top 20, right? It's not always a pretty football, as we've talked about in the past, right? Yeah. Not always a perfect spiral, doesn't always spin. But damn, it hits the people between the numbers a lot, or right underneath their chin a lot, right? So again, that's where style points, sexiness, screw all that. That's what I'm here to block all that out. The results are the results. The damn guy is good. And then you add on top of that, not only the aggressive decisions, what he's asked to do to make aggressive throws, right? He's become incredible at seeing the field. You go back and watch, and for what he's asked to do, man, there's a lot of games where there's not many bad decisions at all. There's no dicey throws, any of that. So it's rare to be playing that aggressive, push the ball down the field, go, we want to attack, yet, hey, don't turn it over and be kind of careful with the ball and, put it in good spots. He's kind of found that fine line of making it both happen, and I give Jared Goff a lot of credit for that.
So this is a meteoric rise up your top 40 countdown rankings.
It's just such a transition of style of play and what he was asked. And you know me. I mean, I used to make fun of him to a degree. The McVay silver platter plays, right? I mean, you've heard me go through the spiel a million times, right? Hey, give it to Gurley. He runs for 20. Fake it to Gurley. Give it to Robert Woods. He runs for 20 on the speed sweep. Now we fake both. I throw a screen to Gurley. He runs for 70. And it's like, hey, I'm 1 for 1 for 70 yards. And it's like, oh my gosh, right? Now it's like, okay, play action pass. There's nobody. It's everybody's 20 yards down the field, right? Read it out. And damn, if somebody's open by a little, you better throw it because we don't want it. He doesn't have to be wide open. You better throw it if he's open by a little. And that's where he's changed his viewpoint of what is expected, and that does not happen with a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, and as much as McVay helped him out there, they still did believe in him at one point to pay him $25 million a year, which at the time was like, wow, that's crazy money to give.
I think 35. I
35,
think it was.
that's right. 35, maybe the cap hit was 25. But so they did believe him. They did sour on him. You had him 30th 2 years ago. You had him 17th last year, and now he has made it into the top 10. I think the narrative on him is, yes, he is leading a contender once again, but he is still more of an average starter perhaps. And there are times when he is under pressure when he does look like an average starter. And so can we dive into that right now?
Sure.
Because if you look at some of his numbers in a clean pocket versus under pressure the last 3 seasons, last season specifically, but the last two with Ben Johnson there in Detroit, in a clean pocket, there is almost nobody better than Jared Goff, second best passer rating rank in the NFL. Right. And then if he has a little bit of pressure, he's in the bottom third of the NFL. So what do you make of that and Jared Goff and operating under pressure?
It's an interesting subject here, and this is where context does matter a little bit when you get into this, right? Not everything can just be explained by a number, okay? And I know I told you this a little bit off air before we came on here, right? Where Jared Goff, it's weird. There's almost like you could say it in two ways. And one way I could go, he's really great under pressure. And then there's other ways where I go, he's not very good. He's towards the bottom of football. But there's difference in pressure too, right? And here's the thing where I would say is different. And sometimes pressure is, beauty in the eye of the beholder, right? It's everybody's going to have a different look, where I'm going to go, sometimes I'm going, wait, that's pressure right there. And that guy threw the ball under pressure. And, a grading company or another coach might go, oh, that's not that bad. I'm not going to count it as pressure,
What
right?
if there's a guy in his face?
Well, exactly. There's things like that. Or other plays where I'd go, wait, like you gave this guy the clean pocket, like, oh, it was good, and somebody was bearing down on him, and he didn't throw the ball accurately because he ducked and chucked and faded away because he was afraid of getting the hit under pressure, right?
Yeah.
Jared Goff thrives in that. As I told you before, when you watch Jared Goff pocket collapsing, I'm about to hit Amon-Ra St. Brown in a 20-yard in-cut, and I am going to get drilled in the chest. He's as good as there is in football. He doesn't blink. Like, he does not blink. He literally, for a guy who's not real big or stout or whatever, he thinks he's 255 and, like, rocked up, I think, at times. Yeah. So that's where he's great, let alone under pressure, okay? It doesn't pocket collapsing people around him. He doesn't change his motion because he's like, oh, gosh, I'm about to get hit. I don't want to throw this the right way, right? And he doesn't affect his decision-making when the pocket's collapsing. So he's not like, oh, gosh, it's collapsing. Let me just find a check down and get out of trouble here. It's collapsing, but I still see Amon-Ra coming open. And I'm still going to strike this in there. And then, I'm going to throw it and get clobbered and swallowed up by guys, but he's great at that.
So under pressure in the phone booth, he is amazing.
If he's got a awesome spot and he can step into the throw and do all that, yes, right?
Under pressure when he has to open the door of the phone booth and exit and make something else happen.
That's where it changes.
Yeah.
That is where it changes, and that's where it's a little less than, right? And it's clean as day. I mean, when he has to move just a little, okay, hey, I'm going to throw the 20-yard in-cut, right? And he wants to stand there. And like I said, if he can stand there with people all around him about to get hit, he'll throw it on the money. But now it's, wait, Nick Bosa just flew by you, and now you have to sidestep, right? And then reset the feet and throw it real fast? No, forget about it. The ball's going to go, it could go anywhere. That's where he does not thrive, right? Oh, I'm getting pressure, he's a righty, from the right side. Let me float to the left and then throw a ball as I'm floating, right? That's not his strong point. That's not where he's, making his money right now in the NFL, right? So there's difference there. I can show you a lot of damn good plays where he throws the ball perfectly, and I go, if that's not pressure, then I don't know what the is, okay? Right? But yes, there are plays, like even taking it to the divisional playoff game, the 4th and 2 play that we and I argued about, and you were so rude to me on my own podcast about it, all that, right? That was kind of like that too, remember? Yeah. He kind of had a sidestep and then come back and throw the curl to the left. and he lost control of it a little bit, and it made it like a little bit more of a difficult catch than it could have been, right? And that's what I'm talking about. But damn, there's still a lot more good than bad when it comes to all that stuff.
It's almost, and this is why football is so fascinating, is because how do you separate all these different things? He's now playing in a perfect situation for him because he might be playing behind the best offensive line in the National Football League, which you can't, disparage him for. It's just like he is operating in that system, and that's why you try to take everything out, like these quarterbacks out of the context that they're currently in.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is that he has been able to show his best traits behind an offensive line that gave him the ability to show those best traits, and we have got to see it these past
like if
couple
we were
years.
Coaching the team and following the rules of what our quarterback rankings here and all that, and it's like, okay, wait, we got to our first 9 guys got hurt. We got Jared Goff now. Yeah. We'd go and like, hey, some of the movement stuff, we're not going to do that on the offensive game plan anymore. Forget sprint outs. That's not going to be a great thing. Yeah. Boots, okay. No, we don't want to do that. Hey, how about let's think about keeping the tight end in the block a little bit more. Let's keep them the back end a little bit more every now and then. That you would change your offense that way a little bit, right? That's all it is. It's just a little like, hey, different approach with this guy. And that's what I'm trying to, flush out of here. But yeah, I mean, it's a sneaky, powerful arm. It really is. I mean, it is. And he can throw 20-yard out routes, deep crossing routes, and he can throw them with great pace on the ball.
Well, and the fact that not many of them are perfect spirals indicates that he has even a stronger arm than I had thought, because it's harder to get it there when you don't throw that tight spiral.
Exactly. It is, right. I mean, and then sometimes I think that's what's his problem in the elements when he gets in a windy day, because the spiral helps cut through the wind, right? And when you don't throw a spiral, the ball can hang up in the air a little bit, and that's where, again, he can improve on that stuff. I do wish he would shorten down his motion. He's got one of the more baseball-ish motions in football, right? You know how the other week we were talking about, hey, quarterbacks are gripping the ball a certain way because it locks their wrist in there.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the more floppier wrist guys in football when it comes to throwing it that way, right? But, as I said, the release is ugly, right? And out of the top 10 guys, like his release and throws are probably the ugliest, period. But it doesn't mean the results aren't. And for as aggressive as he is, like I told you earlier, he sees the field really well, and he's a really good, quick decision maker, right? He's got a good fine line of like, wait, this is about to pop open. I'm going to sit here for a half a second and throw it in here to, this ain't going to come open here. Let me move on to the next guy. And so he's still trying to be aggressive. He never moves on where I go, oh, that was too quickly, other than maybe he's still getting used to Jameson Williams, who we were waxing poetically about, because I just said, man, I went back and watching film in the end of the year, and Jameson, like, he's about to break out. There's a few plays there where it's like, he probably went on Monday and was like, man, that guy's fast. I need to throw that one there, and that'll happen this year. But, he plays big. We talked about people around him under the pressure, right? One of the best at not blinking when about to get his we hit. He can throw off his back foot and still put power on the football. Right? So even though he's not great when he has to move or shuffle or run, right? But people in your face and, oh, wait, I can't step into it all the way, right? He's a big enough, long enough arms that he can still make the 20-yard out throw by hanging on his back foot and doing that and getting enough on it, right? I really like that. I respect him because he's not a rah-rah guy, right? He has no ego. It's workman-like attitude that has endeared him to his teammates and Detroit. Mm-hmm. And that's part of his I've been trying to be more aware of, hey, leadership, things you do that way, effect you have on the team, right? So those are things where he has real effect, and he's got the city and the team believing in him, and as we know, with the really good damn quarterbacks, you got to have that.
Yeah, the ownership believes in him too. They paid him a lot of money. Right. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks out there, probably got more than some people thought he would. He's in that, he's highest paid quarterback, biggest guarantee, I think, before.
Until
Justin Jefferson got a bigger guarantee, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he still had a bigger guarantee than Justin Jefferson. Signing bonus
was a bigger one, yeah. But the biggest guarantee, and so they're paying him, which maybe puts a little bit more pressure on him. Now you're not the underdog story anymore that got discarded away, so we'll see how that goes. But one quick thing that you did mention is playing outside. He does have some of the smaller hands in the NFL right now. Has been a weakness for him, so his numbers indoor versus his numbers outdoor, including the playoffs, are it's a wide variance there. I mean, he definitely plays better indoor in good weather. Here's the good thing, though.
Yeah.
this season.
I know.
They have
insane.
3 outdoor games this season.
Right.
Week 9 at Green Bay, so maybe it's not so cold yet.
Yep.
Week 16 at Chicago, that's disaster. Week 17 at San Francisco, going to be great weather there. But just 3 outdoor games.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think I saw something like 11 out of the first 12 games are indoors or something like that. I mean, that's great for him. It is. It's definitely something that you wonder about or worry about a little bit with him. And again, he's a guy that he can make every throw and then some on the football field. But yeah, the elements, whether it's been in Chicago and all that, have not always been his best games. That's for sure, right? And I think a little bit of the longer, slower release that we've talked about, right?
Yep. No
arm angles, right? He's not a big sidearm guy, or not going to do a lot of that, so you're not going to see that. Those are some of the negatives there, right? And then we talked about, the hopping around, the moving around. When you do that, his worst games last year all had that in common. They all had that in common. Like, pretty much for the most part, the team, got Ben Johnson a little bit, fooled them on a few blitzes, right? And that's where I think when you play the Lions, that's something you have to do. I think you have to almost take some, uncustomary blitzes on them a little bit to make him move and do some of that, because the O-line is so good and they're so well coached and all that. You got to take some chances, right?
If you can get him to move early, right?
Yes,
if the pressure
exactly
gets
right.
there early enough, it creates problems.
It creates problems. But yeah, at the end of the day, right, those were his worst games, but man, he fits a lot more balls into tight windows and makes more big throws than you realize. It really is, and that's the one thing where it just kind of pops off the screen the more and more you watch him.
I am realizing it more and more. I am probably going to pick my Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl this year. I really feel like it's all coming together offensively, defensively.
I
wouldn't have said that last year. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it.
I wouldn't have said it last year either. I would have been still in a little bit of the, I got to see it to believe it. Can they really go that far? Is the culture there? Can Dan Campbell really turn this around this quickly to that, extent? And, by all due accounts, they, as we've discussed and we won't get into, they had a great chance to be in the Super Bowl. But yeah, you're not crazy this year. And I might even think about it this year.
And
for
will say, I'm completely biased.
Yeah.
So, take it with a grain of salt.
Just
too.
a little bit.
Number 10, your 10th best quarterback in the NFL this year, according to Chris Sims, is my Jared Goff. Number 9, perhaps higher on the list than other people may have thought for this quarterback. Your number 9 quarterback is?
Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, Jalen Hurts. Hey, the runner, the athlete, the leader, all of that, right? The thrower getting better and better. Everything's getting better there. But, I think when you started off with him, the first thing that just I think is the headline is he's one of the ultimate leaders in the NFL at the quarterback position. I don't think you can deny that. Again, now the end of the year left a little weird taste in our mouth, but I just, for a year and 11 games, the team talked about him like he was Tom Brady on the regular, right? Like, it was just any clutch situation, we believe Hurts is going to do it. We're going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to do it, right? So that's real there, right? And this is where, again, with Jared Goff overcame some things in his career that we talked about. Jalen Hurts, same thing here. Jalen Hurts, the other thing is I just sat there and watched this. He's a guy who worked himself from being that athlete who plays quarterback to a guy now who he's a quarterback who's a good athlete. He's a quarterback. He is, right? The knock on Jalen Hurts for the longest time, his first few years starting was, if you can get him to play quarterback, you can beat the Eagles, right? If you can keep him in the pocket, not let the quarterback design runs, and his scrambling beat you, and he's got to throw just the football and do that, he won't beat you on the regular, or at least beat the really good teams. I don't think you're going to be able to say that anymore. I don't think that's going on anymore. I saw great improvements in that area last year, and I see the throwing and the play in the pocket continuing to get better. And I told you, too, right before the pod, I went back because, there's a few games I'm sitting there watching over the last few days, and I'm just going, man, it's, I love his motion there. Man, his motion's improved a lot in the last few years. And then I went, let me go back and watch 2 years ago and just see his motion then. And I go back and watch 2 years ago, and I go, man, he's made great strides with what he does mechanically and what he does with his arm. And I got to give him credit for that. So, yeah, there's a lot of good here. I'll unpack it more and more as we go here, but go ahead.
So you have notoriously been lower on Jalen Hurts, and you've done it in a way where you've been complimentary about the Eagles and what they have around him.
I was disrespectful and made him the 7th best quarterback in football.
Yeah, that's what he was last year. He was 25 2 years ago. But the improvements that you have seen. So I would have thought 2 years ago when we're talking about Jalen Hurts and what he can do, I would have thought this would be his ceiling. But hearing you talk right there, the improvements that he's made over the past year or two, you feel like Jalen Hurts, if he continues to make some improvements, could be a top 5 quarterback at some point in the NFL.
I do, because the throwing continues to go up, right? What he does in the pocket, throwing the football there too. And I mean, like, when I'm talking about in the pocket, not seeing the field, big throws, not leaving the pocket too early, right? All of that has all gotten much, much better. Right, and there was another point I was going to make there, but yeah, no, there's. Oh, here was I going to say, is, in some ways last year, right, especially the first 10 or 11 games, I would have gone that year, and his play in the first 10 and 11 games to me was almost more impressive than 2 years ago going to the Super Bowl, because last year the offense didn't just physically dominate all the time. And he had Shane Steichen 2 years ago to where the game was so easy at times. It was just like, well, I could play quarterback on this drive and go down, hand it off for 10, hand it off for 10, throw a screen for 10, throw a lob to A.J. Brown. Oh, touchdown. Whoa,
And you made that point.
I've made that point. I know that, right? But last year when you go through it, right, they weren't always having a schematical advantage, right, because of the offensive coordinator issues. They didn't run the ball as consistently dominant as we've seen them run. And he had to make plays, carrying the team, throwing the football, decisions, doing all that. And to me, that's where he made a jump last year. And the fact that he kind of showed me a little bit more that he can carry the team that way. Right? Now, there's things that we need to improve on and all of that for sure. Right? But, with the throwing, the good athlete, we know that. For a guy who's one of the best QB runners in the sport, he has grown to have some of the most incredible patience and toughness in the pocket, right? And he's another guy where I almost feel like at times you could see the demons in him talking. He's like, wow, I want to run right now. But hold on, I'm going to stay right here a little longer and wait. Oh, A.J. Brown's open now. Boom, I'll throw it, right? Where I feel like Jalen Hurts 3 years ago would have just been like, I'm out of here. I'm tucking it away. I'm going to go run around the edge. And all the fans would have gone, oh, my gosh, you can't stop him. He runs for 5 yards or 10 yards, and you just can't stop it. And it's like, no, he could have stayed in the pocket and thrown a 20-yard completion. And that's the last time I checked, 10 or 15 more yards than the 5-yard run. Right? So that, is, and to me, he's not leaving that on the field nearly as much anymore.
Yeah.
He is really looking to strike to Devontae or AJ. And I love that. And then to add into this too, just a little bit, the pocket, right? Really good, tough. We know that. Another one like Jared Goff, where he's going to get hit. He don't give a shit. He's going to throw the ball in there. He's a man's man when it comes to standing in the pocket that way. But I would put him in a class of his own with him and Josh Allen at getting out of the damnedest situations in the pocket that you will ever see. I mean, the damnedest. Like, you're going, the pocket's collapsed. I can't even see him. And then all of a sudden he pops out and you're like, what? And then he throws a completion down the field and you're like, what? I can't even believe that just happened. He gets out of some of the, that should be a sack, that should be a sack, that should be a sack. What, he ran for 8? What, he threw a ball after not getting sacked for 15 yards? And, he's incredible that way.
Those plays, too, thinking about them, I don't think we talk about those plays enough because it takes what will be a definite drive killer, perhaps, to a drive extender.
Exactly.
That's such a huge
he
swing.
extends third downs a lot and makes the plays there. And, yeah, you're right. Like, instead of being on 1st and 20, and you're going, wait, this team's kind of got them. And then you go, well, my gosh, I mean, this team had them here like 4 different times this last 2 series, and he got them out, and they scored 14 points. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, there is that.
I think the narrative around him, too, and Pete puts in our rundown for every quarterback. He put the one in for Jalen Hurts. 2022 was awesome, but was it a bit of a mirage? Can we blame his underwhelming 2023 on injuries? And he was banged up a little bit. He is a tough guy. He does hang in the pocket, and so he will take some hits here. But he did move up in passing yards, and he had a career high in passing touchdowns as well. So those were the positives, even better than finishing second to Mahomes.
And they weren't running the ball like they were last year, like they did the years before. So it was more on him, right? For in a lot of ways for what he had to do last year.
So here's the negative, though.
Yeah.
Here's the negative.
Yeah.
Is that he did turn the ball over quite a bit. 15 interceptions. He had 19 his first 3 seasons combined. 20 turnovers last season total, including the fumbles, were 4th in the NFL. And so what do you make of the turnovers, the increase in interceptions for him?
Yeah, well, I think a little bit plays into what we're talking about. He had to carry the team a little bit more.
Of that,
right?
Yep.
You know, the new offense, not having a guy, and then not having a guy with nearly the same answers or creativity Shane Steichen had, right? So I think he took a little bit of the burden of, I got to make a play. I got to do this, right? We got to get this going, right? Because he's a leader and, he is that kind of guy. I think there's that part of it, right? The other thing is, and I think the other next step to where, he might not be on the same level as some of the guys we're going to talk about in the top 10 coming up, or even some of the guys that, maybe have been around the league a little longer that are not as good as him right now that we've already talked about. The next level of stuff is at the line of scrimmage, control your offense, get us out of this play. Look, this blitz is coming. We got to change it. We got to get it to an audible whatever, right? That would be
any of that?
Well, no, not enough. Not enough answers there. And again, I think part of that is the offensive coordinator. Part of it, too, is him and, hey, get the ball out here. Don't wait so long, right? Where can you get the ball out quickly here and not take a sack? Or, oh, gosh, I'm under trouble. Let me just throw the ball to A.J. Brown. And, oh, no, it's kind of a crowd of people. Damn, I threw an interception, right? Having a better plan and command in that area, I think that is certainly something that, he can improve in his football game, because there's too many games, as and they're too good to where, you just go, wait, you can't get blitzed like this, right? This is going like disrespectful. And again, some of that is coaching, so I'm not putting all this on Jalen Hurts, right? But I do think there's also things in where I go, wait, this isn't an all-out blitz. Like, he needs to change the protection here. So they got the guys to protect here. They just got to reorganize it. And those are things I think he can get better at for sure.
So Jason Kelce probably did the lion's share of all of that last year, and he will not be there.
That's just what I'm saying.
Exactly
right.
Hurts. So the tush push, perhaps there is the guaranteed 1.5 yards at the goal line or close to a first down. So it'll be interesting to see how he navigates that, a new offensive line, a new feel to the offensive line, and new offensive coordinator. You got Kellen Moore there. You got Doug Nussmeier.
Yes.
Who have traveled together with the Chargers in Dallas before that.
I'm interested to see how it looks.
What do you think? What's your gut tell you on
I don't know.
You haven't been the biggest fan always of Kellen Moore, what he's tried to do at other places.
Right. I like him, but I don't love him. And I guess it's just where I'd go, hey, Jalen Hurts, the year they went to the Super Bowl, being in the spread, the read option, some of the quarterback design runs, the way they played that way, that fits them and what they are as a team right now. Kellen Moore, I know, has shotgun and all of that too, but he's also, gets under the center a little bit more than what we've seen Jalen Hurts and company do too, and play that way a little bit more of like, hey, we're going to run a traditional run and traditional play action pass. Do they kind of infuse some of that in the offense, or they kind of just go, no, we like this formula for Jalen Hurts, and now you go off of that? That's where I don't know where it's going to go. I would bet it's that, because, man, the Eagles put you in such a predicament with how they spread the field with the 2 receivers, Dallas Goedert, the way the offensive line plays. He can run the ball, and now we got Saquon Barkley in the backfield, right? To create space just makes sense for their team, right? Now, I know they have the great offensive line. You could also go, well, damn, they can overpower people and do that stuff too. But I think ultimately space is best for them. And that's where, hey, he could still get the motion a little tighter, right? He's another one, I would say, arm angles could get a little bit better too, right? He's got a few interceptions and things in the game. We talked about this last year where I go, well, yeah, you can't just throw the ball and think the ball's going to go through the guy that's in your face, right? Remember we kind of talked about this? Like, like throw it around him. You got to do some of that, right? His motion can be so standard at times. That's one area you look at. He has tightened it up. It still can be tighter, right? He's like Goff. Damn, does he make a lot of good throws off his back foot. He really does. sneaky more power in Jalen Hurts' arm than maybe even I've given him credit for over the year, right? He's awesome at throwing left or right. He's really one of the few quarterbacks in football who can run left, and you go, you better defend everything because he can still throw it 20, 30 yards down the field on a full run and be accurate with it, right?
Flip those hips.
Yeah, he can do all of that, right? He does have good touch. He's got a very pretty deep ball, fade ball. He is showing anticipation, right? Where I would say like 3 years ago, I'd go, no, if he doesn't see the guy wide open, he won't throw it. Now he's going, like, I got a little feel where he's coming out. Let me put it up in the air there, right? So, that's I think, the big things.
Yeah, there are going to be people that are going to say to you, you're finally seeing it in Jalen Hurts, and you're going to say to them, no, he's better than he was 2 years ago.
I wasn't that bad before. I was just trying to tell everybody he wasn't the best quarterback in football. I was being told at that time that he was the best quarterback in football. Yeah. Let's just not forget, that was the context. He's the best player in football right now. Yeah. And that was what I pushed back against.
Yeah, he was second best to Mahomes that year in the MVP voting. Let's end it. I think we have some video of him too, so maybe his motion has gotten even better and tighter since the last time you saw him. His rushing Pro Football Focus did note that his rushing overall did go down a little bit last year. Not as many forced missed tackles, but that could have been a function of him
the injuries
banged
too.
Up. Yeah.
Right?
All right, what do you think of that motion here?
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's a lot different looking than it did 2 or 3 years ago, right? He does get his body involved in the throw a little bit more. Right, I wish he would turn his front shoulder in a little bit and get a little bit of those opposites there.
Yeah.
Right? But for the most part, he keeps an arm angle, right, the whole time. He doesn't really let that break. It's just a little bit more of a longer motion than you might see at some of the quarterbacks at the top of the rankings, right? Yeah. But still, you can't argue with the results, just like we talked about with Goff. You really can't, right? He gives downfield concepts every chance to work. He has the rare skill, and this is another part of his negative. It's kind of the gift and the curse. Because really, there's only a few people in football that can do this part. He can look at the rush and also look downfield at the same time. Now, he has some games where I go, you're erring on looking on the rush too much, and you did miss a play or throw here and there or whatever, right? But still, he does have the gift of being able to, look down, and I'm like, well, he's kind of looking at the rush and moving, okay, but damn, that was a good decision. Holy shit, he threw the ball. It's on the money. All right, boom, boom, boom. You see that every game.
Yeah.
So that's a rare skill, right? Let me see.
Dang.
Yeah, but like I said, he watched the rush a little too much in some games, and I think he felt the burden of trying to carry the team and do a little too much late in the year. And I think that affected him a little with turnovers and stuff like that.
This is going to be a challenge for Eagles fans. They don't know how to reconcile this. There was so much positive there about the quarterback Jalen Hurts, which you would defend yourself that you have been positive about him in the past, but he just was never the best quarterback.
Well, yeah,
in the NFL.
And Pete's saying it's the most positive I've ever been around. Well, too, it's I don't have any anger in the argument anymore, just because I don't have anybody trying to tell me he's the best player in football anymore. So that's what got me juiced up back then. So I was giving him lots of compliments back then too, but I was just trying to make sure everybody knew he wasn't the best quarterback. He's doing great. He's really damn good, right? And again, it's never personal. That's what I just want everybody to know, right? If I saw Jalen Hurts and he was like, hey, you, I heard what you said about me and all that and those other years.
Like
I'd
Jared
be like,
Goff
hey, I'm sorry.
Game.
Those are just my opinion. I'm sorry. I know you're a great dude, right? The kind of guy where it's just like, hey, like I said about, JJ McCarthy, like you want your daughter to bring home a Jalen Hurts kind of guy. He's the man, professional, handles himself the right way. He's got a head coach who's a little volatile and talks crap, and he's the one telling him to shut up and be quiet and do stuff, right? So he's very mature for his age, that I give him a lot of credit for there.
And he is the number 9 quarterback going into 2024 for Chris Sims. We got 2 more quarterbacks to talk about, one more in this same tier of awesome NFC contenders.
Yeah.
So it's Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, and then this next quarterback, number 8 in your list is
Dak Prescott. Right, the quarterback for America's team. Man, Dak Prescott. Gosh, there's so much I respect about him. And we better start putting some respect on his name. I think that's the thing that I come away with more than anything. Damn, the guy's a good player, right? Another guy that I would go, he's a throwback. He's a throwback quarterback, right? Except he can run, right? And he can hop around the pocket a little bit and still make those throws. But how many years does a guy have to play consistently really good football before people start to give him a little credit or stop telling me, oh, he can't win the big game or any of that, right? I mean, that's where it drives me crazy. Right? Is it perfect, as I say all the time? No, it's not perfect, but there's way more good than bad. And like, as I've joked about with Daniel Jones and been like, he's the Giants' 67th problem. Dak Prescott is like problem 167 for the Cowboys. I mean, what? Like, okay, first off, you know I'm not numbers, right? But when I do this and I look up and I get it all in front of me just to be like, because I want to know what games to hop around and, let me watch these throws. Let me see this, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he had a 95 or above quarterback rating in every game of the season except for 4 last year, right? I mean, again, I'm not saying the quarterback rating's like the holy grail of everything here, but there are some things to conclude from it that do hold some
pretty
water.
Good indication you didn't give the ball away to the other team.
You were efficient, right? You made plays, all of that. So there's definitely indicators there to go, okay, right? I mean, he's second in the NFL in passer rating, right? He led the NFL in TD passes, and he gets talked about like he's chopped liver. I mean, it's incredible. It is. Right? And I would say this, here's probably the headline after saying he's a throwback and he's all that, right? He carries the offense way more than the other way around. Let me just say that one more time. Dak Prescott carries the offense way more than the other way around, okay? Right? I mean, first off, yeah, compared to other quarterbacks we've talked about and all of that, he's got no guy he throws a 5-yard slant to and runs for 70 yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb's really good, but that's not what he does, right? He doesn't get to throw a screen to Debo or Tyreek and they run 70 yards, right? He doesn't get to do that. I don't see, like, play-action passes like I do with Shanahan or McDaniel or all that and go, well, nobody's in the screen. In fact, he threw a ball so bad, the guy fell down, caught it, and got up and ran. I mean, that's what you see on the other guys' films, right? There's none of that. Right? He carries the offense. You've heard me say this before. I'm going to go down the road once again. Simple schemes. I mean, they're simple. There's no run game, and they ask him to push the ball down the field and make big plays, and he delivers. And not only is the offensive scheme not all that great, right? I think the talent around him is overrated. That's what I would say too. I like CeeDee Lamb. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is one of the top 4 receivers in football. You know my stance there, but he's damn good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to disrespect him. But sometimes I feel like people talk about Dallas like it's like the greatest show on turf. Like they're just, and it's like, why? Because they have a star on their helmet? I don't get it, right? I mean, they didn't run the ball all that well last year. Right? Yeah. Brandon Cooks is a solid 2, but it's not like we're like, oh gosh, how are they going to handle the heat of Cooks and CeeDee Lamb today? And who's their third receiver? I don't know. Damn, that sounds like explosiveness to me, right? So that's where I get like heated about defending Dak Prescott. Yeah. Let alone, I mean, literally, here is the dude that's probably the toughest dude in football in the pocket. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't matter who's around him, what's around him, who's going to hit him. He does not care, right? Which, of course, he has the body to be able to not care. He's 6'3", he's 238, 240 pounds, right? And it's easy for him to be that weight. Yeah. So he's amazing that way. But also, here's the other thing that pops up. Forget all the big throws he makes down. And like I said, a lot of these plays, I'm going to go, this defense has seen this play 100 times, in OTAs, not just in the season, in week 8. They've already seen it 1,000 times of that. He still makes it work. He makes so many unbelievable, great throws all the down the football field, right? And then the kicker here is he makes so many plays moving around the pocket. And because, I don't know, it's maybe a little clunkier, right? Because he's bigger and moves that way. And it's not, Allen or, Mahomes and just that sexiness that we liked in that. But there's so many plays where, wait, he's under pressure and he's kind of got to run up in the pocket and he throws a 20-yard crossing route on the money. Or, wait, like we talked about some of the issues with Jared Goff. Somebody's in his face. He has to shuffle out around. He has to hop, boom, boom, and he throws a post down the middle to Ferguson on the money, right? There's so much of that. I think there's way more of that than people realize, right? He's not going to be like scramble around all day and do that. He can run. He can definitely go get first downs. You can call some quarterback design runs with him, right? But his movement in the pocket and sliding and, reshuffling his feet, resetting to throw the ball is way better than he gets credit for. And he makes a lot of plays and throws that, hey, me, whatever, the grading companies just go, oh, that was a plus. They got the completion, right? When I'm going to go, and I'm saying I'm guilty of this too. Watching it back going, well, me, that's more than a plus right there, completion. Damn, he avoided a sack, he reshuffled, and then kind of had a fade away as he was throwing it and threw the ball on the money, and we just go, well, a 20-yard completion, good job, right? And it's like, what? He broke a tackle and moved, and where it's like only a handful of quarterbacks can do that right there.
Yeah. Operating in the pocket. That's been a theme of these first three quarterbacks and the toughness in the pocket. So you mentioned it there. I think the narrative around him has become quite apparent at this point. Puts up stats in the regular season, but then chokes in the playoffs. He was second in MVP voting last year to Lamar Jackson. So he was 13th last year in your ranking. He was 9th 2 years ago. So here, let's get into it. The playoffs. So you got all this stuff, the things he does well, and is he better in the regular season than the playoffs? Well, record-wise, yes. Passer rating-wise, yes. Has he had some good games in the playoffs? Yes. 2022 wildcard win versus Tom Brady and got him out of the league there. Tom was like, I don't want to do this anymore. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions in that game, but then followed it up with a 4-interception game after that. So what do you make of? He's a great quarterback to have in the regular season, but for whatever reason, he cannot get it done in the postseason.
Well, my first thing was I didn't know he's the only guy in the Cowboys. I just didn't know. I didn't realize. I thought it was the team of stars, and all of a sudden it's just all on him, huh? That's I just get sick of it a little bit. I just get like, I know, and we're gonna dive into specifics here. But, like we joked around in when the playoff loss this year, I checked the rules. The number 5 defense in football was allowed to stop the Green Bay Packers at some point. I mean, they were allowed to stop them from just track meeting down the field, up and down, up and down.
Dak's numbers in that game, 41 of 60. Had to throw the ball 60 times, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, did have the 2 interceptions.
Yeah, the 2 interceptions. One was a pick six. But I get it. It's emphasizing my point. Yeah. That he has to carry the team a lot more than people are realizing. It's not a dominant run game. The defense is a little bit feast on the poor, doesn't always do that great against the rich, right? I mean, that's another thing I would throw into it too. All right, so there's that. There's the, and then where I think you get into this and really get into this, right? And I'll get into the negatives here, but there's some lines to be drawn here as far as what I'm going to do to defend Dak in some of these narratives, where there's one thing that jumps out, and you heard me saying this before the show. Like, first off, we talked 95 or above quarterback rating in every game except 4, okay? The games that weren't that, I would go, see, this is where it's misleading, and his ability to carry the team and the talent of the team can't overcome every situation. It can't. And this is where I get back into the team can help him. Somebody's allowed to break a run for a 50-yard gain, right? I mean, Purdy gets to throw a screen to Debo and he runs for 70. No, I don't see anybody doing that for Dallas. They can draw up those plays too. Oh, maybe they don't have them. I don't know. Maybe they're just not as good at doing it. I don't know what it is. But there's not a lot of schematical help in these big games is what I would tell you. And when you look at even their losses last year, right? I mean, Arizona, Gannon was in Philadelphia, right? He saw that offense. He knows what it's about in a lot of ways. And Gannon's smart, and he understands rules of an offense, right? The Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott, he's one of those defensive coaches that you would hear me say all the time. He knows the West Coast offense as good as a lot of the West Coast coordinators. He knows the basic rules as good as anybody, right? So he's a master at that kind of stuff. That would go the same with the Vic Fangio, and what he did. And not that Dak played bad in that game. Joe Barry, Green Bay Packers, he grew up defending the West Coast offense. He was in Tampa with me, John Gruden, Johnny West Coast guy. He knows all those rules, right? So that to me is the problem. The 49ers game, yeah. I mean, there's just, it's the answers they have and what they give him, it's too basic. That's the big thing I would come to, right? Now, listen, do I wish his arm was a hair more powerful? Yes. He's another guy, I would say, right? He's got enough talent to be able to throw the ball, sidearm, and do all that stuff. He needs to do it more, right? Like I said, outs, seams, posts, comebacks, deep curls. I mean, there's not a lot of easy throws in the offense. You don't ever look at it and go, oh, wow, this is easy. Whoa, ooh, nice job. Ooh, oh my gosh, cool play, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, it's all the basic goodness, right? He throws a great intermediate ball. And what I mean by that is he's a master at like tight end or CeeDee Lamb, 20, 22 yards down the middle in between the hashes and getting it up and over a linebacker, right? But still with some pace to where the guy can get it and run and do some stuff. I mean, he's a master at that, right? But, right, the big negative, I think, is patience in the kind of the games we're talking about, right? Now, he's been unlucky in the playoffs a little too, where, Rodgers had one of the greatest performances ever and upset them at home, where I want to go, well, yeah, it was a superhuman thing. And, again, the defense is allowed to stop Rodgers. There's some of that.
The refs did not let him spot the ball that one time at the end of the game.
And I would say there. And again, the 49ers were better than them. Yeah. I mean, that was period. The 49ers, if Jimmy Garoppolo didn't go full Tropic Thunder at the end of the game, they're going to win the game by 30. But they came back because Garoppolo kept opening the door, and Dak took advantage of it and made it a game. And all of a sudden, the 24-7 lead was like, oh, shit, they're driving down here, right? So, but that to me is he has to find in those games the line of demarcation of not being impatient, okay? Not being, because I think in the year he gets like, wait, it's all about me and I'm making these big throws and this is how we work. And then he gets in some of these games where they're all over the rules. They know that life's hard and he maybe needs to be a little bit more conservative. Same thing would go to the 49ers game the year before when they lost in San Francisco, right? He threw 2 bad interceptions. One at the end of the first half and I think one in the third quarter or somewhere right around there. Yeah. But it's the same thing. Like, it was a patience game. It wasn't let me try to fit it in there, squeeze it in there, do all that, right? So those are where I feel like he can improve a little bit because I think he gets a little bit of like, hey, I'm throwing for 300 yards. I'm throwing for 350 yards. It's on me to put the ball in the window, to move the field. We got to do this. We got to do that. We don't really have a run game that we can lean on. So it's got to be me. It's got to be me.
Yeah. And if that's the feeling, that's probably exacerbated in the playoffs too, because you feel like this is the time where they really
I'm
need
supposed
me.
to show up and do that. And I just think he's, maybe read the room wrong a little bit in some of those games and just go, you know what, swallow the ugliness this game. Yeah. It's going to be ugly. No one's going to care if you come out winning, though. No one's going to go back and go, oh, it was ugly. Remember that? It's just like, no, he won the big game. And that's all it'll be. And I could show you Tom Brady or Mahomes have won a lot of big games that we don't go back and go, it was kind of ugly. But they won, and that's all we care about, and it adds to their legend. Yeah. And I think that's something he could definitely get better at.
And Pete notes out, even in that 400-yard performance against the Green Bay Packers, the first half was ugly, 87 yards, couple interceptions there, the pick six. Like
the pick six was the big play. Yeah. Right? He got a little impatient with some aggressive decisions and throws where I would just go, get the completion, and let's be in 3rd and 4 here just to stay on the field because they couldn't stay on the field either, right? But I think it was a little bit like, whoa, they scored a touchdown. We got to match them. Whoa, they scored another touchdown. We definitely got to match them, right? And that's to me where, hey, quarterback sometimes, it's a long game this day and age in the NFL, and those ugly games, sometimes they're ugly, and you just got to buy your time until that chance comes and don't, add to the issues there are.
So I think we have some video of Dak Prescott hooking up with his former running back mate, who is now his current running back mate in Ezekiel Elliott at OTAs, and so we get some slow motion of that. And you mentioned that it was all Dak, and the supporting cast was not great around him last year. What do we think this year?
I know.
I mean, we got no Tyron Smith on the line, no Tyler Biadasz. The center's gone. Tony Pollard gone. Michael Gallup gone. You got Zeke, but, I mean, what do you think about what he has around him this year?
Yeah, well, it certainly seems like it's a step down, right? That's what I worry about. I think, I don't know what to expect. Dallas is one of those teams where I know there's still talent there, but, almost like the Miami Dolphins in the AFC where I go, yeah, there's talent there, but I don't know if they're as good as last year, right? I don't know. And, of course, they're still, hey, it's a new defensive scheme they're going to be dealing with over there, right? We still have questions about middle linebacker play and interior D-line play and all of that. We got contract issues with CD and Micah and Dak, right? So, yeah, from a base level, I think you look at it and go, yeah, I don't see how I expect them to be definitely in the playoff combo. I still am not going to put them out of that. But, like, they've been in I think they can go to the Super Bowl combo, I think, the last 2 years at least. And I don't feel like I'm ready to say that right now.
Yeah, they have Tyler Guyton, rookie out of Oklahoma. He's
right?
slated to start at left tackle right now, replacing Tyron Smith. And so there are some questions. And you just mentioned it. You don't know exactly where you're going to pick them. Not a team to miss the playoffs, but I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
They're a sneaky miss the playoff team.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be like, that's what they are, I think. Right.
So let's take a look at the DraftKings odds for the NFC East, because this division may be a little more wide open. Maybe it is the Eagles to win once again. That's what DraftKings thinks. They are the slight favorite over the Dallas Cowboys. Both of those teams have over-under win totals of 10.5. Then you have the Commanders. Then you have the Giants. The Giants, they're in last place right now.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, what do the Commanders got? They're just like, they're plus 400 better than the Giants? That's a little shocking to me. I think these odds are not even as reflective as I would feel. I would have the Eagles with even greater odds.
Yeah,
I feel like the Eagles not only are the opposite in what we just talked about, and they've improved their team, and I look at it better. I think they're a team that's got a real chip on their shoulder this offseason, right? Sirianni's having mini camp for the first time ever as a head coach, right? That tells you where they are. Like, work needs to be done. We got to get better, right? Right? They're not going to just rest on, hey, our roster's the best in football and we just show up and get it done. No. And so, yeah, I would certainly put Philly, in a class by itself in the NFC East. But, I'm kind of with you with the Dallas thing, and I haven't wrapped my head around that completely yet. But that's what the fringe playoff team is kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
The Giants are the team on there that I would go. If you wanted a long shot bet in that division, the Giants would be the team I would take.
Of course you would say that.
Well,
you have to say that.
I feel like the offensive line will be better, right? I do think they have some things at receiver this year where we're all going to go, whoa, the Giants are a little scary at receiver, right? I do. When you take about Wandell, Malik, going to be a superstar neighbors, Hyatt, and Slayton, they can go, that four right there.
Those four, that's better than what the Cowboys have. Potentially.
I would agree.
CD is a step above, but...
Yeah. But, what does he come in? Is he going to be totally in shape, right? And the thing, who's going to be that third receiver for the Cowboys is the real question. We don't know that, right? I think they're hopeful that Jalen Tolbert, who came out in the draft 2 drafts ago, right, can be that guy.
22.
Right? He gives an honorable mention for us, I think, the year we did that draft at receiver. He was definitely one of the 7, 8, 9 best receivers in the draft. But, yeah, they need him to pop. They need right tackle Terrence Steele to play better. He was the weak link for sure. And then, you got a question mark with a guy who's got all the tools to be a great pass protector at left tackle or Tyler Guyton. But as we know, tackle's not an easy transition going from college to the NFL, at least at first.
It's not looking great for the Cowboys because, as we remind you, the NFC East has not had a repeat champion since the Eagles won 3 in a row in the early 2000s, 2002 through 2004. So keep that in the back of your mind as you make these bets. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Oh, and
during the playoffs,
new customers can bet $5 and pocket $200 in bonus bets instantly.
You can download the app, use the promo code Unbuttoned when you sign up. DraftKings
Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Sorry, I wasn't following along on the guidelines there.
One of the worst we've done so
far.
That
was by far the worst. By far the worst. If we had to rank that right there, that was last place. My fault.
Senioritis right now.
That was my bad.
Getting. We got, what, 4 pods left? Three after this
Seriously.
one. So, all right, we have one more quarterback to talk about today. So we close the tier. That is your awesome NFC contenders, which I was almost thinking as we were doing it, pocket powerful passers too there.
Whoa.
Something like that, right?
Well, was that suggestion before we started the pod?
I needed to
ease
into it
an
an hour
late
and a half
now.
later. Is it too late now? Can we do it? Pocket powerful passers? Okay.
How about power pocket passers?
Power pocket passers. Wow.
Yeah.
That's okay.
We'll think about it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll let Morgan and Mackenzie figure that one out. We got one more to talk about. This man is in his own tier, a tier by himself. Prodigy. That's just one word. Prodigy for your number 7 quarterback, and he is
CJ Stroud, Houston Texans. I mean, yeah, prodigy, budding superstar, right? I mean, one guy that I sit here right out of this group of guys, or let's just say the guys anywhere from 7 to 15, where I go, if you had asked me one guy who could maybe be in the top 3 next year, I'd go, well, duh, it'll be CJ Stroud. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, CJ Stroud, what do you want to say? I mean, as I said during the year last year, I said, I think it might be one of the best rookie years ever in the history of quarterbacking in the NFL. It was. It was the best ever. It was ever. Right? I know Marino's rookie year was pretty good, right? But he didn't even start the whole year. And there was more ups and downs with that year than CJ Stroud had. That was Marino's second year where he absolutely lit the league on fire, right? In 1984. We know that. But, yes, I would say the best rookie year we have ever seen from a QB, right? He rivals Joe Burrow as the most consistent, mechanically perfect, and consistently putting the ball where it needs to be on a game-to-game basis in the NFL, right? His motion is flawless. I mean, it's flawless. We always talk about, when we talk about quarterback mechanics, part of it is, hey, all these guys got God-given talent. We know that. But you can't go out 17 weeks a year and think that just God-given talent is going to get it done. Like, I got it. Like, I'm going to go out in the driveway today, and I'm just going to, every time I go out there, I'm going to drain 100 3-pointers. No problem, right? There's those days where you just go, damn, I don't have the feel today. Damn, it just keeps going off the back of the rim, right? Those kind of things, right? That's where mechanics come into play for a quarterback, right? You don't have it every day. Hey, some days you can go out there and grab the football and just I don't even know how I'm throwing it, but I'm throwing spirals and lasers everywhere. But I promise you, if you do that long enough, you're going to hit a week where you go, what the hell is wrong? I can't control the ball the way I want. I'm not throwing spirals. So that's where mechanics come into play. You need to be able to emulate something time after time after time after time. And CJ Stroud is a picture book of perfection for how you should throw the football and your body and the mechanics and the motion and the release and all of that. And that's why he, even as a rookie, hits the bullseye within the pocket or anywhere almost as much as anybody you're going to see in football already. And that is incredible that he has that skill and can really throw the football with power, accuracy, any way he wants, and he never loses control of the ball.
So the narrative on him is the next great young quarterback. I think everyone saw that last year. You were early on board with saying how great he was and how good it looked, but his numbers were awesome too. And he was in kind of the MVP conference. It was like offensive rookie of the year. No, we're talking like best player on offense in the NFL.
Right.
Pete notes that his mechanics are so good that he is unable to throw a baseball.
He is not.
And so we have his first pitch.
Funny.
Where was this? Was this a Houston Astros game? Or
yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Look at this.
Here's the throw, and let's see. Yeah, it's just
he's very tight and football-ish, right?
That's it's such a good point. Like we've talked about this before, how I played quarterback in wing tee offense.
Yeah.
It was very good wing tee. We didn't throw the ball all that often. Here's another look from behind here. Yeah, that does not. I mean, it gets there. He's got the power.
And it was perfect spot, right? I mean, he threw a strike.
But the more I played quarterback, the harder my throw from shortstop became because it's just two different throwing
motions. Exactly. I mean, when I played, when I was playing baseball and football, I used to be mad at my baseball self at the start of football every year. Like, baseball's my motion up, and now I'm not throwing spirals yet, whatever. And I always took a little bit of an adjustment period, right? And because baseball, like we talked about, Baseball, you can let your arm go. It's a small little ball that you can just control with your hand. So the ability to hand and the wrist can do it, right? Just go out and do it and have feel and control. You can do that more in baseball, right? But yeah, with football, generally it's a little bit tighter, and you don't want that arm to drop down too far behind you or ever straighten out or break in that angle. He is incredible. Like I said, it's arguably the most efficient motion in the game. 0 wasted motion, right? He's in the conversation already as the most accurate passer in football. I don't care who it is. Oh. It's anybody. If the pocket's clean and somebody is open, I don't care where it is, what it is, whatever, he is always right around the target, okay? And it's like next level this way, right? Where he throws it like for a rookie. Hey, rookies, a lot of times you're just like, hey, just hit the open guy. That's all we want. Just hit the open guy, please. Just do that, right? He's already showed maturity in that department of like protecting receivers, seeing what's in front of them. Tank Dell's going over the middle, and you're like, whoa, if he leads him, he's going to get his head knocked off. He stops him right in his spot so he can cover up and do that, right? Hey, this guy looks like he might undercut this out route. He throws it high and outside, to the point sometimes where you go, man, he's f***ing lucky right there. He's lucky. Ooh, gosh, that could have been intercepted. But then you go, well, this is the 180th throw I've seen in a row, and I've said that 27 times already. He knows exactly where to put it, right? It's like the old Mahomes thing where I'd go, he's lucky. Whoa, he's lucky. And then it's at some point you just go, well, damn, maybe he can throw hook shots and sidearms and just really do this all the time. This is not luck. And that's where you feel with him. It's incredible. He knows, next level stuff on stopping, protecting receiver, all of that, right? Misses for him when he throws the football are like, receiver still could have caught that, right? I mean, those are the misses. The misses are like never egregious. You're always like, I wish you threw it a little bit better, but the guy, you still could have caught it, right? It was just a tough catch. He still, right? Can we stop the athlete talk? Can we stop that? I mean, that's over. We got to drop him out of the first round because he can't run up the sidelines for 80-yard touchdowns. Who the hell cares? How many great scrambles did he have last year? How many great throws did he have on the run? Oh, my gosh, does he throw the ball great on the run, right? So all that can end, okay? Incredibly mature, right, as far as a decision maker.
Yeah.
At no point last year did he really get reckless with the football, right? Does things like knowing where to throw the ball when he's getting pressure, where can I get it out and get a completion real quick, throwing the ball out of bounds, all of that, right? I mean, all of that was next level stuff for a young guy, and I'm amazed by the year he had.
How mad are you at yourself for having him 37th last year in the NFL Virgins tier?
Yeah, I'm mad. That's why maybe I've gotten too aggressive with Caleb Williams this year, right? Because I've had CJ, right, Mahomes in the past. I remember there's been a few others where it's like they didn't play yet, but. Right. Burrow, I had one. Herbert, another one where it's like I believed in them and I thought they were going to be great, but yet I was playing the old like, well, I got to see it to believe it, and it's just like, no, I have seen it and believe it.
It would have been hard to believe that he would be able to hit the ground running because some quarterbacks can do that,
right?
But with the Houston Texans, a team that no one thought was going to be a playoff team last year, just wasn't like. The betting man was going to bet that it was not going to look all that great for CJ Stroud in that first year, and then it did. Might have been the best rookie year, and you have declared it the best rookie season. And not that I don't believe you, but I do want to check your work here too, because we have some ranks.
I like that.
All-time rookie quarterback ranks for CJ Stroud. He turns 23 in October. He's still so young. So the completion percentage was 12th all-time. Passing yards per game, 2nd. Passing touchdowns tied for 6th. Passer rating 3rd. So there were a couple of quarterbacks who had better passer ratings. We don't know who those people are, Pete, but Dak Prescott and RG3 had better passing ratings.
Right.
Passer ratings.
And I still would take CJ Stroud's year over them, right? I would. I mean, Dak Prescott, again, let's not forget, they were the best running team in football, and Zeke Elliott was the best runner in football. That was one of the crimes of Zeke Elliott's early career, is that Dak Prescott won Rookie of the year Zeke was also a rookie, and you were like, no, Zeke is the best thing on that offense, and that's what they play through, the run game. That wasn't fair. So he had that, and then RG3 was the unveiling of the spread read option quarterback design run offense. Right, and he had Shanahan, so he was delivered a lot there, right? I think this is more impressive, and just the fact that it was done through the normal vision of quarterback, right? It wasn't like, wait, we did this, and then we ran the ball awesome, and then the quarterback just looked awesome because of it, or you've never seen this play before in the history of football, and we're running it right now, and you haven't seen a quarterback do this with this kind of skill set, and oh, you're in trouble. Like, it wasn't those advantages. He had a good offense around him. Don't get me wrong, I mean. But also, hey, one of the reasons he's 7 and not higher is he was managed to a degree still last year. He was, right? There was games, and I told you this before the pod, where you'd go, no, this game called for, we need to unveil and unleash CJ Stroud, and they were not always even willing to do that, even into the playoff game, where there was moments where you're like, hey, they need to throw it every play. They got to get going here, right? They got to keep pace. And they were, controlling the environment to a degree. They weren't ready to just throw the kitchen sink at them and go, hey, here's the whole offense, take it, go, and we're just going to let it and play through you. No, there was a little balancing there, and I think that's probably, I'm going to hold that against him to a degree, because I don't think he's on the level of some of the other guys that are in front of him in that department and all that, right? And that's part of this, all right? But, getting back to this, it's one of the quickest releases in the NFL, right? I think him and Joe Burrow are the best quick game throwers in the football. Aaron Rodgers, they're probably throwing that thing too, right? I mean, just slants, flat routes, little quick 3-step games. I mean, it's on the money all the time, right? The pocket presence is next level. The pocket presence is up there with the best people in football. The pocket presence, is what I always say is very Joe Burrow-like. He's got a sixth sense of where to slide and move, and even though it might not be the quickest, or again, like, oh my gosh, he's the fastest, right? There's so many subtle moves and step ups and slides in the pocket where you go, damn, his eyes are downfield, he feels that, he steps up in the right spot, and now he can throw a big throw and change the game, where other quarterbacks don't do that, and they get hit as they're throwing, or, oh no, I see that guy open, but I didn't move to the right spot, and now I don't have time to throw it, so I got to throw it short or something like that, right? That's the beauty of that. It's hard to grade that or quantify that. And, man, does he do it really well.
It's like eyes in the back of the head.
He got eyes in the back of the head. Definite, what did I write here? Oh, top 5 or 6 arm in the NFL, right? I'm not saying it's the strongest, but it's a lot of power, right? Yeah. And he does it easy, and he really can control. Again, I'm into, hey, you got to throw the 100-mile-per-hour fastball, but it's got to be around the plate, right? I mean, I know there's some guys that go, whoa, his arm's stronger, but I'm going to go, well, who cares? Like, I mean, he can't hit the target.
It's the combination of
right.
it, too.
It's the combination, right? He does need more arm angles, right? He can hang in the pocket a hair too long at times, right? At times, I think he's so gifted to the pocket, I go, wait, you're a good athlete here. This is one, like, get the hell out of here. Let's go. Make a play on the run. Make one of your throws that you're amazing at doing that, right? And then, like I said, he's still managed a little bit. He is a rookie, and he hasn't been handed, the phrase I use, handed over all the keys to the offense yet. And those are the next steps you're going to take.
Which would be scary, too. You're like, that wasn't even the full version of what they can do with him. We got a couple videos to end it out. Here's one. I said he had eyes in the back of his head, and maybe he doesn't even need eyes, because at the Texans OTAs, here's a no-look pass, which on a recent podcast, he was waxing poetic about Matt Stafford.
Yes, he was.
I feel like he idolizes him and some of the things he does, specifically throwing without looking at where he's throwing it.
Stafford is the guy with no-look passes. He really doesn't more than anybody in football, and he didn't get the credit for it because, when he was in Detroit doing it, they were never in big games for it to be publicized, right?
I saw it, but no
Yeah, no, exactly. Then Mahomes did it a few times, and everyone was like, he did it against the Ravens in a big game at 4:25 on CBS, and everyone was like, oh my gosh. And I'm sure Stafford wanted to be like, I've thrown 12 of them in the last 2 years. Nobody said a word about it.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then, yes, as Pete is in my ear, he threw it in the Super Bowl with one of the greatest throws on third down in the history of football, right? But yeah, I mean, this guy's got he can do it all.
And now he's got Stephon Diggs there. And so you got Tank Dell, you got Stephon Diggs, you got Nico Collins who just got paid. You got Joe Mixon as your running back. I mean, this is a team that already had a pretty, you got Laramie Tunsil there on the offensive line. Here's Stephon Diggs, what he looks like. Oh, look at that. He's looking fast again.
They got it all. They really do
have it all.
They got it all, right? And then I think when you couple that, like we're talking about, him taking the next phase in the offense, opening it up even more, right? It's I think only going to go up from here. They got good talent around them. That O-line, when it's healthy, is really good, okay? And him to just end with the negatives, right? He's such a great thrower, and of course Bobby Slowick's a good OC, where number one is open a lot, right? The first guy, and like we've talked about with a lot of the great throwers on this list so far, and especially the young ones, they hang on number one a little too long. He definitely can do that, right? And with unconventional defenses, that's where, again, just needs more experience, right? Just to be like, wait, this isn't how it's drawn up on the board, but at the end of the day, hey, it's still cover two. They just did it a weird way. Things like that, he could be a little quicker to react to and diagnose and seeing all that, but, come on. Right now, we're looking like we got a Van Gogh here. He's a natural, and we'll see what he does here in year two.
Mahomes is the favorite to win MVP right now.
Is he the favorite to be at the top of the quarterback rankings?
Stroud and Josh Allen are currently co-second favorites to win the MVP. At the end of the year, could we be saying, next year when we're doing this list, the number one quarterback on the Chris Sims Top 40 Countdown is CJ Stroud?
I don't think.
Is that crazy to even contemplate?
It
would be surprising, yes, I know.
Right.
But is it crazy?
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it is crazy. I do not think it's crazy from what we saw last year.
Wow.
I don't. If he goes out there this year and blows it out of the park, and they open up the offense, and it's just one game after another of what we saw last year and then some, and now the numbers go to it and all of that, right? I mean, and Mahomes has a bad year, and Allen doesn't play as well, whatever. Like, it's not crazy, right? It's a long shot, let's just say that.
Yeah.
But it's not crazy from what we've seen and how the guy plays football.
You love CJ Stroud. Can you identify his grip?
Those
are the four quarterbacks we're going to talk about today. That's 10 through 7, and now we play America's favorite game, What's My Grip, where you are 15 for your last 15. It is sweeping the nation. And we have 4 today, so you can go 19 for your last 19, depending on how you do here.
Okay.
So I think we have one that's relatively easy to figure out.
Well,
because you have Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and CJ Stroud.
Yeah, this is all right. So we know Jared Goff is D because his hand's white, and I kind of know his grip anyways there.
And that grip there, too, is 2 on the laces.
2 on the
which
laces.
Is very rare.
Really rare.
From what we have seen. I think I was going to say the smaller-handed quarterbacks are doing that, but I don't think that's true. I think
no, the smaller-handed quarterbacks are going under a lot of the times, right? He's got the old-school grip here.
And Jared Goff was in the 8th percentile for hand size, so I'm a little perplexed why he's going with that grip. Maybe I'm going to talk to him.
It's
about that.
He's a 1-4 grip right there.
Right on. Yep.
So
finger by the point too.
Right, it is. It's up there, which was what I would say is probably leads to sometimes of why the ball isn't perfect spiral.
Yeah,
man, it's hard to throw a spiral when the last thing to touch the ball is actually just going straight forward with a finger, right?
We got to talk to him about that.
Yeah, it's a different one there. Okay.
So you got Goff. 1 for 1. You're 16 for your last 16.
B is Jalen Hurts.
You got it.
Boom.
2 and under.
2 and under 5, right? 2 and under 5. He's got, you can see he's got some long hands and some big fingers, right?
Are long, yeah.
Okay, so this is where now we have 2 guys with the same grip, right? And
this is tough. You got Dak Prescott and CJ Stroud.
I think, gosh, let me see here. They're both big hands too. That's the problem. I'm gonna say. I just think I've seen Dak's hand enough in my life. It's imprinted in my brain here. Where I'm gonna say Dak is C.
You got it.
And
Dak
CJ Stroud is A.
CJ Stroud is A. You have nailed it once again. You've gone perfect. You are 19 for your last 19.
Damn.
And there they are.
And I promise everybody out there, I am not cheating at all. I promise. I would not do that. But there it is. I mean, hey, finally we got a quarterback with 2 fingers on the lace. That's like the first quarterback in the last 20, 25? That we maybe had 2 on the lace.
So what was it? Tua had 2 on the lace?
Tua had 2 on the lace, the unconventional way.
3,
an unconventional 2,
yeah.
Right? But again, as we see, CJ Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, basically all the same grip.
2 and under.
2 and under 5. They're all 3 of them are 2 and under 5.
We've seen the 1 and under 4. We've seen the 2 and under 4 maybe.
Right. But this is the grip that's sweeping the quarterback world right now. And those are look at all of them there. Good positions for the most part in the pocket. 2 hands around the ball. If they're not on it like Dak is, it's right by it.
You mentioned about Jared Goff too, and a little too wristy.
Yes.
Right? Is that with the grip? Would that indicate to you too? Does he need to hold the ball differently?
I wish he would. I think it could add to some improvements in throwing the football. But he's a very that windmill motion, and he really lets the wrist go when he releases the football or at the release, which I think leads to that little wobble we talk about.
Next time you see him on the field and he brushes you aside, be like, no, I got to talk to you about that grip. It's pretty unconventional now. You're falling behind the times in the NFL.
I saw him on the field, full transparency to all of that before the Buccaneers playoff game, and I went up to him, and all players have ears a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I just went damn, what you've done is incredible. I want to give you respect. I know I'm probably one of those guys out there that's been looked at as, being negative on you. And I just wanted to say, congrats. And I think I said, way to shove it up my ass or something like that. Right? He didn't he wasn't rude.
Yeah. He broke the ice a little bit.
It broke the ice. It probably stopped him from being like, hey, you get out of my face, right? Yeah. Which is just, I would be fine if he said that to me. I understand, right? I wanted to say that to people who said bad things about me when I played too. But he didn't do that. And he just said, thanks, I appreciate it. And he moved on. And that was cool. I'm down with that.
Yeah, and the Lions coaches were watching, or some of the assistants or managers.
Right.
And they were like, man.
Yeah, right.
You're like, you don't like me.
And then they were like, okay, get out of here now. He's got to warm up.
We love you. You're top 10 now. So that interaction will be completely different next time. All right, we want to finish with this. Sad news this week. The Hall of Fame offensive lineman Larry Allen died suddenly Sunday. He was on vacation with his family in Mexico. The team announced it earlier this week. Yeah, super, super sad story. What a incredible player, incredible dude from what you could hear. A good teammate. And one of the strongest, if not the strongest, NFL players of all time. And there's video that has circulated throughout the years, legendary at this point. He benched. Look at that. This is 700 pounds. And
700.
He there's the bar almost can't take it. I would be worried that the bar is going to split in two and someone's going to get hurt.
It's amazing.
He didn't care.
No, he didn't care. And we talk about it every now and then, and this would classify for Larry Allen, right? There's Hall of Famers, and then there's Hall of Famers, and he would be one of the lineman guards that you would go, no, that guy deserves to be in a different room than the rest of the linemen. And truly dominant, unbelievable, and it's a shame to see him go so early.
So in honor of him, I've compiled a list of a starting 11 on offense of the strongest players in NFL history. Larry Allen, for sure, is one of the tackles there you just saw. Reason he is rumored to have squatted 900 pounds at one point.
I don't think that's crazy.
These are things that no other player, no other human really has done outside of Olympic weightlifters, and even some of them
were
not able to do it at that level. The other tackle that I picked is Orlando Pace, the Pancake Man. He just ran over people. There aren't a whole lot of numbers out there. He did reportedly clean 400 pounds one time. And so I'm going with Orlando Pace. So those are my 2 tackles, 2 of the strongest humans.
I'm all for that.
To live.
I mean, and it's not always about weights. guys like Orlando Pace aren't made to lift weights, right?
Yes.
Just because he can't squat 900 pounds doesn't mean he can't apply the same power of a guy that's a 900-pound squatter. He's just not made to maybe put a bar on his back and go down and get in that position, right? But, damn, I mean, Orlando Pace is definitely one of those guys, if you saw him, you'd go, oh, my gosh. I've seen NFL players before, and this one's different, right? So, like him and Jonathan Ogden, those are two.
I had his name in there, and then I was like, I went with Pace.
Yeah, you're cool with that.
Could
He's
make a
the
case
pancake guy, either way.
My two guards, we'll just go offensive line here. I've got a former Giant, two-time Super Bowl winner, Chris Snee, was named the 2010 NFL Strongest Man by Powerlifting USA magazine. They know what they're talking about. What do you know about Chris Snee?
I know a lot about Chris Snee. I mean, he's a killer that way, right? He was your tough, gritty, move anybody out of the way, interior offensive lineman. Right? He lives close to where my family lives in New Jersey now. I believe he's got a son who's a very good quarterback coming up the ranks.
Oh,
right?
Really?
Yeah, he does. And I think he's playing at one of the Catholic powerhouses in Jersey. But, yeah, Snee definitely has that reputation.
John Cobb is a four-time Super Bowl winner with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In the offseason in the late 70s, he finished fourth in the World's Strongest Man competition.
Wow.
He did it 2 years in a row, finished fourth twice.
I did not realize that. And I know who John Cobb is. I did not realize he had that on his resume. You don't hear much about those Steelers offensive linemen other than the center. He was really, I think, the only one that made the Hall of Fame out of the 70s, Mike Webster. Right.
That's why we're here, to give love to the John Cobbs of the world, who are some of the strongest humans.
You're Robin Hood. Look at you.
My center is going to be the Jet, Connor McGovern.
Okay.
690 bench press in college, reportedly. We have no video of that.
I didn't
but
know
those are the reports out there.
Wow.
And at a 2018 fitness festival, he did a clean and jerk of 375 pounds.
Wow.
So it's not all about lifting the weights, but that's good evidence that you are strong.
It is. It is good evidence.
Connor McGovern, would you have guessed that?
I'm not. That is a fact I did not know about him there. But, yeah, I mean, listen, those are things that, there's certainly translation, right? And for a guy like that, again, now it's not tall on the levers like we talked about with Orlando Pace, but hey, he's down there in a squatty position, right? And he's got to explode out of that squat and block somebody that, is 300 pounds and, of course, is strong as hell, too. So, you better have some real power there.
And this is proof, too, that strength isn't the whole deal, right? You got to have more than just brute strength, and sometimes the strength of a football player
you're too stiff or whatever.
Strength. Yeah,
right,
for sure.
Right.
So there's our offensive line.
Okay.
Let's do our wide receivers here.
This is interesting.
I did 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, too, because there's a lot of running backs. So my 2 wide receivers, I went with DK Metcalf. Mm-hmm. He benched 225 27 times at the Combine. That's tied for second most by wide receivers ever. And then you just look at him, and you go,
I don't really need to see him lift weights. He's got a muscle everywhere on his body. Yeah, we'll take him. Okay, I'm not going to argue that one.
And because of the sit-ups he did in his driveway, looking jacked, I gave it to Terrell Owens.
Hey, I don't, I was wondering if you might give it to him.
Yeah. Who else would be in the conversation for you?
Gosh, strongest wide receivers. I do think of back in the day, like Sterling Shepard, right? Remember him, Shannon's brother?
Yep.
He had an incredible lower half.
Sterling Sharp.
Sterling Shepard, yeah. Sterling Sharp had an incredible lower half and was extremely powerful, strong that way. Gosh, I don't know anything about the lifting weights part. Like Debo, I would think has got some real strength, right? Those type of guys. But I think I like your
physical freaks, because you got a lot of, Jerry Rice type bodies at wide receiver too, where you're like, I don't know that they're that strong. I'm sure they are strong, but it just doesn't
Tyreek is probably extremely strong.
Well, that's a good point,
You
too.
know what I mean? Yeah. But how much weight does he put on his body? I don't know if he does a ton of that anymore.
So my 2 running backs here, and the running back was very difficult because there are a lot of strong ones out there.
They're all strong. They're all freaks of nature.
So I went with Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
There's a legend out there that back at Oklahoma, he would hold 80-pound dumbbells in each hand and then box jump 36 inches.
I don't doubt anything from him. He is made of muscle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like so when you see Adrian Peterson in person in his prime, right? It's not like this huge, thick meathead or this thickness. Like when the first time I saw Ricky Williams, I was like, oh my gosh, is that the most thickly dense person I've ever seen in my life, right? Adrian Peterson's was like dense, wiry, right? It was like he almost looked like, in some aspects, like, wait, is this just a really strong receiver or whatever else, right? Because it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's sight. But yet, I mean, again, it still was impressive. It had a different look, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
And muscle fibers. And again, Adrian Peterson will definitely be one of the moments in my NFL career that I will never forget, where I was sitting on the sidelines of an NFL game going, we're all NFL players. I don't know what that guy is. He's better than all of us, right? And I can still remember then, like 7 weeks after that, my dad announced a game of Adrian Peterson's for CBS, and he went, Christopher, have you ever seen Adrian Peterson in person? And I was like, yeah, actually, we just played him a few weeks ago. He's like, it's unbelievable. And I was like, I know. Like, it's different.
A different breed.
A different breed.
Let
alone to try to break your hand when he shakes your hand.
And so was Walter Payton back in the day. So reportedly, I like to say reportedly, legally I'm not held responsible if any of this is wrong, deadlifted 625 pounds, which was 3 times his body weight. So maybe more pound for pound strong. Walter Payton the legend gets in as a running back for me.
Legs and ass. Aren't we the Legs and Ass podcast?
We are the official podcast.
Look at his legs and ass when he was in his prime. What, he used to run up those hills, those huge hills. He would spat his ankles and run up. Like Jerry Rice kind of stole this from Walter Payton. But if you watch old videos, he'd put on his damn headband, his ruse headband on, and he would tape his ankles up with cleats, and he was a big sprint the hill. And like hills where you were like, that's not a hill, that's a mountain. Like you're going up that. But that gave his legs, I mean, they were incredible.
There are other running back. I mean, Steven Jackson, you've mentioned before, is just like built different. Nick Chubb's got incredibly powerful legs.
Holy shit, you're right.
Jerick McKinnon had one of the best bench press performances of any running back at the combine. So pound for pound, he's pretty strong. And Derrick Henry, of course, I could have thrown him in there. There are a ton of running backs.
He didn't pick you, Derrick Henry.
Sorry,
Ahmed Fareed.
My tight end, Vernon Davis. His best years were with the 49ers. In college, he had a 460-pound bench press, almost a 700-pound squat, and so he was just a strong dude.
He was another one where it's like, I don't really need to see him lift weights or anything. He just took his shirt off, and I've seen enough there, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, he is that group. Like tight ends, that's an interesting one there, because there were, of course, like Gronk was strong.
Yes.
Like extremely strong. But I don't know if like weights would back it up, right? It was just more like, damn, I don't know. He's moving that defense end in the run game.
Like Gronk would be more of the world's strongest man, like lift a boulder up or just move
that's
a car.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Crazy stuff.
It's crazy stuff.
So the last one is quarterback, and this one was so difficult.
I hope it was.
I considered the Simses, your dad.
Right.
You.
Yeah, more my dad.
And I look back in time, they're all like wiry guys. You're not going to throw Johnny Unitas in as the strongest human.
Right. I don't think they were lifting weights enough then anyways to know.
So I think it's more recent. And I'm going with a man that we talked about today.
You're going to go Jalen Hurts.
He was a power lifter in high school at Texas.
Right.
570-pound squat, deadlift of almost 600 pounds. Jalen Hurts is my strongest of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that that's true or not. I've only thought about it for like an hour and a half.
But no, I think it's up there. I do.
Who else would be in the conversation outside of you? Have you ever squatted 570 pounds?
No. Okay. I think I've squatted, I've over 400, right? Day after a game in the NFL, right? Simeon Rice, strength coach, they'll tell you I used to put 315 on my back and do box squats for like, I might do 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 6, something like that, right? So I could certainly move weight that way, but not 500 pounds or 600 pounds, anything like that. I mean, that's where, Jalen Hurts, again, we saw that video early on in the pod. I mean, he's put together a human being.
Yeah.
Legs, butt, arms, shoulders, right? That's why he can run the ball. It's one part that I didn't bring up in my rankings is that we didn't talk about you can literally call a bunch of plays to run the ball with Jalen Hurts that I didn't get into, and my bad for not getting to that part of it there. But, other ones. The first one that comes to my mind is John Elway, right? John Elway, I've had people tell me they've watched John Elway power clean, 350 from the floor, right? So there ain't too many quarterbacks that are power cleaning 350 like that.
Yep.
Right? 350 is I'm a defense end.
And the way that John Elway walked indicates that he is a guy that can lift some weights.
And barrel-chested and
exactly.
pigeon-toed. And you were just, yes. And of course, if you look at old Elway stuff, like incredible pair of legs on him.
That makes
really
sense.
is.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was the first one that came to my mind. Bradshaw was strong too. He just had that country strength.
I can see that.
Troy Aikman certainly too. But no, I like your Jalen Hurts pick. I feel like I'm maybe missing somebody in the modern era.
Probably.
But I
thought Ben Roethlisberger, but I don't know. Like he's just a bigger dude.
He's just a big
looks
dude.
like he'd be strong.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's seen the weight room a whole lot in his life. So I don't know if he can go there.
Yeah. All right. So that's the starting 11 on offense. Maybe someday we'll do the starting 11 on defense. I think that would be more difficult. There's so many.
Oh my gosh.
Physical
good
freaks
luck.
on defense.
That'll take you a month to research that.
Yeah.
I mean, forget that. Don't worry. I like it. It was a good list. It really was.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I like Jalen Hurts at QB, and I think your receivers were right too. So I'm on board. You got me.
You're not the only one that can rake dudes.
Yeah, I know.
Podcast.
Damn. I mean, stealing my thunder. How dare you? How dare you there? Okay. All right, everybody. You know it. We did it. There it was. 7, 8, 9, 10. Coming Monday. Top 6.
Wow.
Okay. Yep. We'll see if it surprises you. But again, continue to subscribe, rate, review, send in questions, homies. All right. And again, we're going to get to some Ask Me Anything stuff on Wednesday. So anything you want to get out there or want me to dive into a little bit further, would love to do that. But everybody be good. I hope you enjoyed the pod today. You know where to find us. Enjoy the nice summer weekend. It's getting better and better. We'll see you Monday. Ahmed, as always, thanks for driving the ship. You are my favorite homie.
Yes.
Peace out, homies. We'll see you. Clap it up. Yo, what's up? Thanks for watching, homies. You know it's the off-season, but there's no off-season with Chris Sims Unbuttoned. It's the NFL. It goes all year around, all right? So hit subscribe, please, to hear my thoughts on your favorite team, your favorite quarterback, and, hey, how this season might unfold as we get ready for the 2024 season. We got a better picture, clearer look now that the draft is over, free agency. We know who's playing quarterback for certain teams. So, again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. Check you out soon.